You know, for generations, the word Disney it meant magic. But lately, have you felt that magic start to fade? Like something's missing? If you have, you are definitely not alone. So today, we're going to dig into this argument that the creative powerhouse we all grew up with has, well, been replaced by a corporate machine.
Yeah, it's that exact feeling, right? You walk out of a brand new Disney movie and you're just left wondering, what was missing? So, seriously, what did happen to the Disney magic? Let's unpack one really compelling argument about how the company's creative soul might have been traded for something else entirely. Okay, to really get this shift, we gotta go back to the source. The man himself, Walt Disney, once said, and I quote, "By nature, I'm an experimenter. I don't believe in sequels." Just let that sink in for a second. Because the company he founded has since released what? Nearly 250 sequels? Not to mention dozens of live-action remakes? That contradiction, that is the absolute core of this entire story.
So to really understand that change, we have to rewind all the way back to the beginning, the Golden Age. And this was an era defined not by, guaranteed paydays, but by absolutely breathtaking creative risks. And it all kicked off with this number, $1.4 million. Now that was the budget for Snow White all the way back in 1937. That's almost 5 times what a typical movie cost back then. It was such a crazy amount of money that the rest of Hollywood literally called it Disney's folly. They were absolutely convinced it would bankrupt it. But it didn't fail, not even close. In fact, it launched this incredible wave of relentless innovation. Think about it. Right after Snow White, we get Pinocchio with its mind-blowing visual effects. Then Fantasia, this wild experimental symphony. And then the gut punch that is Bambi. See, Disney wasn't just making movies. They were basically inventing a whole new art form from the ground up. And all of this was powered by one core idea: respecting the audience. Walt truly believed that kids, and adults for that matter, could handle big, sophisticated themes. We're talking grief, fear, even death. He just refused to dumb things down. And because of that, he created these timeless films that, hit you differently whether you're 5 years old or 55. But, of course, that era of just pure creative risk, well, it couldn't last forever. After Walt's passing, and especially kicking into gear in the 1980s, a totally new strategy started to take shape. It was a slow burn, but it was a clear shift, moving the company's focus from art to, well, assets. And this new corporate strategy, it created this huge fundamental divide. So under CEO Michael Eisner, Walt's passion for artistic risk got replaced by a hunt for guaranteed profit. Original stories? Nope. They gave way to exploiting existing intellectual property, or IP. That old mandate to move on to new things? Yeah, that was officially dead.
We first saw this new strategy rear its head in a really obvious way with the whole direct-to-DVD era. All of a sudden, Disney's most cherished, most beloved classics were getting these cheap, low-budget sequels. I mean, let's be real, these weren't passion projects. They were products, plain and simple, designed to cash in on our nostalgia for the originals. It was about turning art into a pure commodity.
All right, so the next major phase, this one led by CEO Bob Iger, starting around 2005, basically doubled down on that strategy. But it got bigger. Instead of just making sequels, Disney started buying entire universes. The whole focus shifted from creating stuff internally to just acquiring it from the outside.
It all started in 2006. You gotta remember, at the time, Disney's own animation studio was kind of struggling. But Pixar was the absolute gold standard. So instead of trying to compete, Disney just bought them for $7.4 billion. The strategy was crystal clear. If you can't beat them, buy them. Then, just 3 years later, they did it again. They bought Marvel for another $4 billion. And this time, it wasn't just a studio. They were buying an entire universe of characters, a pre-packaged library of stories, and decades of baked-in fan loyalty, all just ready to be deployed. And the empire was pretty much complete in 2012 with the purchase of Lucasfilm for, you guessed it, another $4 billion. So you've got Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, all in. In just 6 years, Disney dropped over $15 billion, not to create new worlds, but to own the most popular ones that were already out there. The transformation was officially complete. And you can see the new mindset in the company's own words. I mean, an official statement celebrated adding great IP that would create value. Think about that language. That's not how storytellers talk. That is the language of asset managers. And just like that, the modern model was born. The content empire. It's a business strategy that's all about acquiring proven IP and then franchising it across, well, everything. Films, TV shows, merchandise, theme parks. The goal is simple: minimize the creative risk and maximize those predictable profits.
So, what's the price of building an empire like this? An empire built on other people's stuff? Well, while it was definitely a financial success for a long time, the argument we're exploring today is that this strategy is starting to show some really deep creative cracks.
And that has led to this string of really high-budget movies that have, to put it mildly, underperformed, both critically and at the box office. We're talking about releases like Strange World, the big 100th anniversary movie Wish, and even franchise heavy hitters like Lightyear and The Marvels. They've all struggled to connect with audiences, which really suggests that just slapping a brand name on something isn't enough anymore.
This criticism gets especially sharp when you look at the live-action remakes. A really common complaint, especially for a movie like the 2019 version of The Lion King, was that, yeah, it achieved these stunning realistic visuals, but it came at the cost of the original's soul.
And this is where you find the central paradox. The incredible expressiveness of classic hand-drawn animation is what lets us connect so deeply on an emotional level. But by chasing photorealism, the remakes gave us animals that looked real, sure, but they couldn't actually emote. They couldn't show us what they were feeling. And so it left audiences with something that was, yeah, technically impressive, but also felt kind of hollow, a perfect copy with no soul. So all of this leaves us with one last, really crucial question. Is Disney's legendary library a collection of art to be cherished, or is it just an asset to be exploited? The company really seems to be at a crossroads, and whatever it does next will decide if it can ever recapture that old magic, or if it's just going to remain a content empire, one that's forgotten how to dream up something new.